Hey guys, welcome back. Today I will show you this simple web app which I have created using microservices and REST API as a small personal project. So at start, let's see what is the architecture of this simple web app. So there is one API main program which runs or controls all the microservices. So this application has got these microservices: add transaction, get balance, get transaction, and this is the database which it is using, and also a form handler which is like the HTML page which acts as the front end for the user. So let me start this app. So we will start here. I'm running on localhost. So this is the UI of the application. It's a simple UI for now. So here we can enter the account number of a bank and can register the transactions, let's say 12,000. So you will see the message as transaction added successfully. So I will add a few more transactions just to show you guys. I also add a different account number. And now we can check those transactions which you have done. So here we can see all the transactions according to date, type and amount, and we also get to see the final balance. The another one was so here those two transactions, and here we can check the total amount of cash available in the bank. So this is the total amount. So I actually did a few more transactions before recording, so that's why the balance is showing a bit more. I will show it later. So let's now talk about the microservices that I used and the APIs in the code. So this is the HTML file for the front end user, and honestly speaking, I used ChatGPT to make it a bit more beautiful, or else I would have spent a lot amount of time for such a small project. The backend part I did on my own. So this is the main API part, which is this part of the application. So here I'm using Tornado server to host this application, and I'm importing or calling all these APIs, all these services at the start of the API, and starting the main server, and then putting a route for each microservice and the function which is there inside that microservice. And I'm opening this application on port 8888. So the form handler, this is the application, this one, which is hosting that web app. This form handler is hosting this HTML file. The get balance is the last function which we saw to get the total balance available in the bank, and what it's actually doing is just fetching the total balance which is there in this register. Register is the database microservice. So this get transaction is the second part of this application, this part. So what it's doing is, first it's uh, if we carefully see at this, at the HTML file, there is, we are passing the account number into the form, and it's submitting via the post method of the REST API, and from this it is getting the argument account number from the body of that HTML file, and then it's running a simple SQL query in this register file, and it's using the function getSum, which is defined in this register file, which I will show you. And after that, it's just modifying the output to make it look a bit beautiful. So in this way it is getting the required values from the database and making it beautifully available. And the rest part is for error checking, where I've used the try clause and except clause for different kinds of error, if or whenever it shows. In the register, here the database is created first if it not exists, and these are the keys that these are the attributes that are there in the database, which is ID, account number, date, type, and amount. So the add transaction function, which is used in this transaction handler, what this microservice is doing is when we are entering the data into the form, it's collecting those data and sending it via the post request. As you can see, it's getting the data from the body and sending it via the post request. And you can actually see the route where it's routing the microservice. Here it's routing through this add transaction method, and when it's coming here, it is making it appear a bit pleasing to the eyes, as when we saw this page is the because of this part of the code. And the actual function is just this, to add those transactions in the register file by calling the add transaction function. So the add transaction function is defined here, where it's running a simple SQL query, insert into transaction these attributes, where the question mark are the placeholders, and it's replacing those placeholders from this parameter or arguments. The next function is get transaction, which is used for the get transaction microservice. It runs a simple query to fetch or select the data from the database. The getSum is also similar, but what additionally it does is, if the type of the entry is deposit, then it adds, and if it's withdraw, then it subtracts, and in that way we get the final balance for each account number. And for total balance, it again does the same thing, but it checks for all the accounts rather than just checking for a specific account number. And let me show you the database also. We will just use so here you can see all the transactions that I made are entered into this transactions database using this register microservice. So all the transaction account numbers, the type, the date, and the amount. So using this application is working. I have also added a free to use general public license, so you guys can use this code for your personal projects. Just don't forget to subscribe my channel, and thank you.